Hey guys, it's your girl, Miss Megan. Today we're going to be doing the state board haircut, and this is just some of the things that you need for your universal setup. Your barbicide wipes for sanitation, your paper towels. It can be in a roll or it can be folded, just as long as you have paper towels, that's fine. Your first aid kit, which is backwards. And your hand sanitizer. Make sure it's in a pump. You don't want to spray. They don't like that at state board, so make sure it's a pump. Also, you need your towels. That's a disposable towel from Famar. You can use disposable towels or you can use actual cloth towels if you want to. Okay, here we go. So the first thing you're going to do before you do anything is you're going to sanitize your hands. So pump, pump, pump. Make sure that your hand does not touch the pump while using it because it then becomes unsanitary. Now that I'm all sanitized, I'm going to open up my barbicide wipes and realize that they have not been pulled through. So make sure you open your barbicide wipes prior to going to state board. It'll save you this hassle that I'm having to deal with at the moment. Okay, now she's all set. Good job. So, now we're going to take our barbicide wipes and we're going to sanitize our station, making sure we wipe down everything, all of the spaces. Girl, she's clean. Okay. Now, this is going to go into your bag labeled trash. Now that I've sanitized my work area, I can continue to set up my SMA, which is your sanitized maintenance, your sanitary maintenance area. I'm going to get my combs, my shears, and my razor. Make sure that your razor has a guard on it. Client safety and your safety. My water bottle. This is a continuous spray bottle. If you don't have one, that's fine, but it does help you when you are saturating your haircut. Oh yeah, and we need our client. Look at that, she's so pretty. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is sanitize our hands. Make sure we're all germ-free, because that's the way to be. We're going to take our water bottle, saturate everything. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for my immense RBF in this video. When I was filming, I didn't know my face was showing. So, the way that you saturate the client, quote-unquote client, at state board is that you're going to lay the towel on your arm or hand, place the hair on top of the towel, and then you're going to start to saturate your client. The reason for this towel is so that it's a part of your client's safety, so that you don't slip and your client doesn't slip. Because a lot of times salon floors are cement or tile or something that's easy to be mopped and cleaned. So we don't want anybody slipping or tripping and then you have a broken hip, which is never a good day for you or the client. Spray it, girl. Spray, spray. Fix your face. Now that goes into trash when you're done. So now we're going to take our comb and we're going to detangle. Pro tip, you can put a little bit of conditioner in your spray bottle and it will actually help you in this process. So, full disclosure, I completely forgot my clips in your initial setup, so make sure you have your clips. Alright, yes, you messed up, but it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to saturate a little bit more because I see she's still a little dry in some areas. You'll have 30 minutes to do this haircut. I suggest you only use about less than 5 of them to saturate. So move swiftly and make sure that you saturate completely on your first go round. A way to make sure that your client is at a good height for you is to keep your client close to your heart and is on the other side. Good job. It's okay. Sometimes we forget. It's fine. But keeping your client close to your heart is a good way of remembering at what height you need to keep your client for you to still be utilizing good ergonomics, which is going to help your back and your shoulders. So now we're going to start by splitting your mannequin into 4 sections, from the front hairline all the way back to the nape, and then from the apex to behind the ear. So here I am splitting the mannequin down the middle. A good way to create really good clean partings is to take your finger and lay your comb down flat and then pull it all the way through whatever section that you're working on. It creates consistent, clean partings, and it's efficient, which is definitely something you want to be when you are in statebaord. So we're going to find the apex of the head now, laying the comb flat on the head, removing the comb, and going down from the top of the head to behind the ear. Look at that. Nice clean parting. Every time. Consistent. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Going to lay my comb flat. Finger and boom. Just like that. So here I'm about to part and show you how to part to find the nape area. The nape area is below the occipital, so you want to take your comb, lay it flat against the nape, and where the comb starts to not touch the head, that's where your occipital bone, that's where the bottom of your occipital bone is. So from the bottom of your occipital bone to your hairline in the back, that is where we are going to begin our haircut, and we are starting with our razor. So we're going to make a horizontal parting on each side. And that is below the occipital bone. So everything below the occipital bone is what we are going to be cutting at 90 degrees with our razor first. Again, full disclosure, I forgot to film me cutting the perimeter of this doll. So I do apologize, but always start with your perimeter. You're going to see me start with the layers, but make sure you start with the perimeter. So that is the section that we are going to start cutting using our razor. Make sure that you tilt your client's head down. You never want your client's head looking straight up, especially if you're doing one length haircuts, which we're not, but if we were, when they bend their head down, you'll be able to see all the hair that's underneath. Again, saturating because underneath was a little dry. I did not put my comb down. I held my comb along with my water bottle because once it touches your client, it's technically dirty and it cannot go back on your SMA. Throwing the towel away, and then I'm going to now start using my razor. This is a feather razor. It comes already with a guard on the razor. So this is the guard side, and that is the not, guard side. And that was the other side, which was not. Make sure your guarded side's always facing your client. This is the non-guarded side. That's always going to face you. This is for client safety. They will be looking at this when you go to state board. So like I said, didn't film myself. I thought I was filming. I apologize. But we're going to start center back in the nape area, and that's where we're going to begin our 90-degree elevation. Now, a little trick that I teach my students to find 90 is to lay the spine of the comb flat against the area of the head that you are working in. Also, make sure that your sections are no wider than an inch. You'll get over direction on the sides of the section, and it'll throw you off guide-wise. So if you're unsure about where 90 is, you can use the big teeth, laying the spine of the comb against the head, and you're going to line the hair up with the teeth. And so that is going to show you 90 at whatever part of the head you're at. So you let your perimeter drop, boop, and then that is going to be your guide. Always make sure that you're cutting in front of your fingers with the razor. You don't cut behind your fingers with the razor. So that's gonna drop, and then I'm gonna cut. You may or may not hear my dog snoring in the background, sorry. So there we go. That is going to be my guide. I'm gonna split that in half, and you can either work left to right or right to left. I usually work from right and then I go to my left just because I'm right-handed. There's no right or wrong way. You can go left or right if you want to. Okay. So when you're cutting the nape area, you have two guides. You have your guide that you've already pre-cut, and your perimeter is also a guide. So like I say, I move right to left. You can move left to right if you want to. It's not going to mess you up. Let my perimeter drop and cut. Make sure that when you're using a razor, your tension is pretty tight. You don't want loose tension when you're working with a razor. In order to get a successful, even cut when you're using a razor, the first two knuckles is where you normally can create most of your tension. So here again, I'm saturating. Technically should be using a towel. It's fine. I didn't want to use all of my towels for this haircut today. Make sure you're standing in front of your section and you're pulling everything at 90 degrees. That's going to drop and whoop, there you go. Drop, cut. Again, coming in at 90, drop, cut. I saw a piece I missed. Okay, so I'm at my last section here. And so a good tip for this haircut is right there is 90, is a true 90, but if we were to cut that, we would cause a hole. So you want to over direct back slightly to the previous section. So with this section, I'm over directing back slightly to the previous section. That's gonna drop, and then I'm gonna cut. All right. Also, it helps to use the finer teeth when you are working with the razor. And then I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the other side, using the guide, pre-cut guide that is traveling from the right side to the left side, and also using my perimeter as my guide as well. Okay, so now that we have finished the nape area, you can see the layers. And when you turn it to the side profile here, you can kind of start to see that roundness, that round shape appear, and that's what you want to see because this is a uniform layered haircut, and the shape is circular. So when you're cutting vertical, you can check your sections horizontally. When you're doing this haircut at state board, I suggest you check after you're completely done with the haircut, because then you can go back in and make corrections. But it will take up a lot of your time if you are doing this after you finish the nape. So like I said, you only have 30 minutes. Apparently that side was good. You only have 30 minutes to do this haircut. So like I said, go ahead and get it finished. And then if you have time, you can check afterwards. So this is what your razor makes the hair look like when it's cut. So don't be looking for a straight line. It's a very jagged perimeter, jagged cut. So if it does not look super straight across, it's fine, because that's what the razor does. So now your razor is going to go into your to be disinfected bag because we no longer need her. Bye bye. So now here comes the shears. These are just like $8 shears from Amazon. They work pretty well for mannequin work. And I can send you the link if you want it. But they work really well for working on the mannequins. They stay pretty sharp, pretty long. So now I'm going to take my two sections up from the top down. Again, I'm saturating. Again, technically should be using a towel. But, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. Okay. Because if you start a haircut wet, you want to make sure you finish with wet hair. So again, I'm going to be making a 1-inch center back section, making sure that also my client's head is at this point in the haircut straight up. So when I was working in the nape, she was tilted down. Now as we're going into the round of the head, we are going to be cutting with her head straight, looking straight ahead. So I'm going to be creating my center back guide. So still cutting vertically. Again, using that same parting technique. And taking my clips and keeping that hair out of the way. Don't be afraid to use clips. Like I said, don't make sure the head's not tilted down. Make sure she's looking straight ahead. Now, if you can't, you're like, oh my God, all this hair's in the way, I can't find my guide. All you have to do is just go underneath the occipital area, and that's where your guide's at. So your guide is at the top of the section that you just finished cutting. So if you can't find it, it might take a minute. So because I have short fingers, I section this center back part into 2 sections because it's a lot of hair for me to work with. So there's my guide there. See if you can see it against the comb. So there's my guide, previous guide, cut guide with the razor. And now it's going to transition into a shears haircut. You want to make sure that you are cutting palm to palm, not cutting past your second knuckle. Uh-oh, I think we dropped a comb. So when you drop a comb, make sure you place your scissors down first, pick your comb up, and this goes into be disinfected, the one of your 3 bags, which is to be disinfected. Sanitize your hands because you have touched the floor and you've touched other things. And now you can pick a new comb up, which is off of your SMA, and continue your haircut. Again, pulling it out at 90. And in each section, you're going to have 3 movements. So now there's your second one. And third. So you see there, I'm just cutting off the corners. So in the uniform layered haircut, we're looking for a circle. And what happens when you take all of the corners off of a square? You get a circle. Here I'm demonstrating that you want to make sure you're not cutting past your second knuckle, because that's client safety. So at the bottom of the occipital bone, in the nape area, we were cutting fingers pointing up. Once you get into the round of the head, your finger position is going to change from pointing up to the ceiling And here I am switching positions to pointing down. So once we get to the round of the head, our finger position is going to change. So here I am. That's where I stopped. And I'm going to continue working up the round of the head. So again, because I have short fingers, I work in small sections, finding my guide. Trying to make sure so you guys can see. There we go. Nice tension. There's my guide, and there's the hair I need to cut. I want to make sure that we cut in elevation. We don't want to be bringing our section up to elevation and then dropping our hand to us, because that will throw your haircut off. Again, coming, yep, by me backing up so you guys can see. So that is a corner, and also making sure don't cut past that second knuckle. Cutting off my corners and cutting off that extra hair there. Try and make sure that you're not doing the snip, snip, snip cutting technique that I see some students do, especially in this haircut. You want to make sure that you are parting, pulling, cutting, boom, part, pull, cut, part, pull, cut. That it will help you get done in 30 minutes. There's my guide there, and I'm just cutting off the corner. So just like that, part, pull, cut. So that is now going to be my guide. So I'm going to split it down the middle. I'm going to work right to left. You guys can work left to right if you want. It's completely okay. I'm making sure that I am clipping sections of the hair away that I am not using. So make sure you do not put your clip back onto your SMA. It can move around the head, but do not put it back onto your table. It is considered unsanitary. So it can just hang out on the other side of the head. So in this section, I'm going to be, in this section, yes, I'm going to be using what is called a pivoting cutting sections. So it's going to come to the very tip top of the section, and it's going to pivot. So it's going to look like pie slices. This is the most efficient way of cutting when you're cutting around the head, using the round of the head as the shape. Oh, she's feeling a little dry. You have to resaturate. Yep, like I said, I should technically be using a towel, but I did not have a lot of those on hand, and I couldn't find my other salon towels. So I'll just be repeating myself. Don't give me that look. All right, creating my first pie shape section. like I said, you can clip the hair that you're not working with out of the way. You may think that, oh, it's going to take longer to place clip, but it actually is very efficient time-wise. Not cutting past my second knuckle. Client safety. Also your safety, because you don't want to have to stop in the middle of a timed haircut and do a blood exposure, which is what you would have to do if you were to cut your finger in this haircut. You would have to stop what you're doing, do a correct blood procedure, and then get back to haircutting. So, in order to not have to do that, don't cut past your second knuckle. Okay, so we have successfully cut the back of the head. So as you can see, we get you can already see some of that roundness showing just from the layers. So now what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm checking. Because I cut vertically, I'm going to check horizontally. Make sure I'm pulling it in the elevate. Oop, see, look, even I miss. Sometimes I make mistakes. But you want to make sure that you are checking vertically. When you cut vertically, you check horizontally, and you want to make sure that you are pulling it in the same elevation as you cut it. So I'm pulling this all up at 90. Missed a piece there too. Oh well, this is why we check. To be completely honest, people that don't check their haircuts tend to scare me just a little bit. Like, the confidence, I'm all for it. Like, it's a vibe. But I would lay awake at night if I did not check my haircut, thinking, oh God, what if I missed a piece and they found it? And now they think I'm a horrible hairstylist. This is your new life. Okay. So I've checked everything horizontally. Now we're going to move on to the front. We're halfway there. Again, not placing my not placing my clips back onto my SMA. I am just kind of tucking them and putting them in the back where I know I don't need any hair. Also, don't scratch your nose. If you scratch your nose, you have to sanitize your hands. Try not to touch your face at all, actually. So the guide that we created in the center back is going to travel to the front. So that's my guide. This is where I'm going to get my guide from. So this is how the front is going to connect to the back. This is going to travel using the round of the head. Making sure that your mannequin is looking straight ahead, not tilted. I lowered her a bit because it's easier for me to cut. Alright, so I'm going to take a 1/2 inch parting on each side of the middle part. Because if I take a 1/2 inch on each side, that means I get an inch altogether, which I don't want anything wider than an inch. There we go. That may be a little bit more like 1.5 inches, but it's close. You always want to make sure that the clips are keeping the hair out of the client's face. This is also for client safety. So there's my guide there. That's going to travel forward. Again, resaturating. The pro tip that I said earlier in this video about using conditioner, if you do use a conditioner or some sort of cutting lotion, like a conditioner, in your water, it'll keep the hair more saturated for longer. So don't let that just drop in your client's face, because again, It's client safety. They don't want, statebaord does not want hair lying in the client's face. There we go. Pulling it up, finding my guide, making sure I'm not cutting past my second knuckle. And now we're over the apex, which is the highest point of the head. There's my guide there. You can see. So I'm not cutting that part because it is past my second knuckle. Again, pulling everything at 90. There we go. That looks better. Now we're going to start to go into the round of the head. So our 90 is going to start to curve and round downward. Excuse me, I sneezed. Again, if you get lost and you want to use the spine of the comb trick, you sure can. Lay the spine of the comb flat against the area of the head you're working with, and the angle of the teeth is always going to show you 90 degrees at the area of the head that you're working with. So if you get lost and you're not exactly sure what 90 looks like, you can use that trick and you'll find 90 degrees every single time. I'm trying to remember who told me that trick, and I can't remember because I would definitely want to give them credit. My shears started to get a little loose here, so I was having a little trouble cutting cleanly. And so I had to start doing the little snip, which takes up time. Alright, so now that we have cut our center guide here, normally what I do is I'll go back through, and since technically I cut vertically, this is me checking horizontally and making sure that I don't have any over direction, which will, if you bring this up horizontally, you'll have a little bit of a U shape. So you want to make sure everything's nice and even. You're going to split that center section down the middle, and now you have created on each side what I like to call a veil guide. So it kind of drops over each section like a veil. And that area that section is going to be the guide for your side section. So you're going to work top down. So you're going to go from the top of the section to the hairline. Again, saturating, excuse me, but I need to be using some sort of absorbent material so I don't create any falling hazards for me or my client or any other person in the salon, to be completely honest. So I'm going to work from the back to the front, creating an inch wide vertical section, keeping the hair out of the face. This is me trying to section without being in the way. So I'm going to keep my back separate from my front so I know which area I'm working with. Keeping your sections organized is key to consistency. Make sure that you are not over directing forward or back and you're pulling it straight out from where the hair lives. So here we go, pulling everything up at 90, finding my veil guide that I created, and cutting above my fingers but not past my second knuckle. There's my guide there. And that was position 1. This is position 2. You see that corner? We're going to take that corner off because, like I said earlier, when you remove all of the corners off a square, what shape do you get? A circle. And this is the kind of shape that we are looking to create with this haircut. This haircut's going to be very round, very circular. Here's my guide there. And cut. This is me just checking myself in the camera. So, that is the last angle that I'm going to cut and then go forward. So, some of you are probably like, that's not a true 90. This right here is a true 90. So I have one corner left to cut, but I'm not going to, because if I do cut that at a complete 90, what's going to happen is when her hair falls in natural fall, it's going to create a hole in the ear area, and that's what we want to prevent. So that little bit of over direction prevents that hole from happening. So over directing the previous section up helps create that added length as it falls back down. You can see that it falls down and you still have that length at the bottom of the section that's going to help maintain the perimeter integrity so you don't have that hole there. My dog snores really loud. Sorry. He's having a good dream right now. So I've already cut that section and I'm going to clip it back, and I'm going to continue the same cutting technique moving forward, an inch wide partings. Okay, so it's at this point that if you have time still left on the clock at state board, you can go through and you can check your haircut. We've used vertical sections throughout this haircut, so we can go through and use horizontal partings in order to check for accuracy. So make sure that when you are checking your perimeter, you have to use whatever tool you use to cut that section. So just like I was down in the perimeter of the back where I used the razor, I am not going to cut any of that with the scissor because they're looking for that shattered edge that the razor creates. So don't go in and cut that with a shear. So those little mistakes I saw earlier, I'm going through and I am correcting at this time. Pulling everything out at the elevation of 90 at that particular point in the head. There's that piece of hair that I saw earlier. So now I am taking a section from behind the ear and to the front of the ear, and I'm going to be seeing how those connect, how those sections connect from the front to the back. It's always very important to make sure that ooh, man, I missed a big piece. Oh well, this is why we check. It's always important to make sure that both of your connections, both of your sections connect to ensure the uniformity of the haircut. So just some little adjustments here and there. And I can see that it's starting to lay really nicely. So I'm just going to go do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so as you can see, I dropped my comb, pump, sanitize, clean hands. Now we're ready to get back to checking for accuracy. Now that we have checked for accuracy, I am now going to check the perimeter of the haircut. Now, when you cut a 90 degree, or what is also known as a uniform laid haircut, you end up with a sort of face frame area. Natural face frame naturally happens with this haircut. So, we're going to just make sure that everything is nice and even with this face frame. So I'm going to split her down the middle. I'm going to cut off that point right there and connect those two pieces. Okay. Next, I'm going to take my next section. So make sure when you are cutting a face frame perimeter that your elevation is low and your finger angle is not angled back. It's angled more forward. So more so like that, and over direct to the other side. I think I dropped my comb again. It happens. This is why you need more than one comb. I was trying to cut the face frame facing the camera, but it's awkward. Awkward angle to do that at. So yes, when you are cutting a face frame, make sure it's nice and low and you're over directing to the opposite side of the face. This will ensure that you don't cut too much off of the face frame and that you still maintain length around the face. So my fingers are pointing up pretty straight, over directing to the other side. So I'm just going to cut that little point off right there. And everything reaches now. So that side looks good. So once I'm done with the perimeter, I want to make sure that there's no the front and back connect. So there was just a little bit of point there. So I got rid of that, and now that side is all done. And so again here, I'm splitting her down the middle. Taking the hair in the fringe area, pulling that over to the side there. So even though it looks like I need to cut that tip off, that's more of the angle you want your fingers to be. Normally when you're doing a 90 degree haircut, you're going to have a little bit of disconnection because of the recession area of the hairline. So as you can see, the area that's dropped out is the recession area. And sometimes it can really fool some stylists, but it's because of the recession area. So go a little bit past the recession area and you should be able to connect, to a more true guide for your face frame. So here I am over directing, keeping my elevation low, fingers straight up and down, making sure they're not angled backward. Want to maintain that length in the front. I'm not trying to give her a really short face frame. Again, fingers over directing low, fingers straight up and down. Again, I'm going to come to the perimeter and just snip that tip And with that, the 90-degree haircut is complete. At state board, once you're done, you're going to stand back to indicate that you have finished. And always make sure that you have a clean comb to give the proctor, because they will not take a dirty comb. Also, offer them hand sanitizer or have it to where they can reach it, so they can sanitize their hands. So I hope this video has helped clear up any questions about the 90-degree state board haircut. If you have any other questions that I did not answer in this video, please let me know. But this is her. She's fabulous. She's ready to get her hair blown dry and walk out with a lot of body yaddy yaddy. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it. And good luck on your practical. I know you're going to do amazing.